Hi, I'm Steve Good. Welcome to the Scroll Saw Workshop. Wanted to stop in the shop tonight and do another video. I've had a few emails lately about some of these candle holders that I put up on the website and some questions about how to build them, so I thought we'd do that tonight. One thing I want to talk about is this candle holder is designed for a 4-inch candle, and it's a very easy project to make, and I want to talk about that here just a second before we get started. I like these kind of projects because they're very easy to make, and for people who aren't familiar with your scroll saw work, they'll think you've maybe carved it or done something very intricate. So I'm going to zoom in on here just a little bit, give you a better look at it, and then we'll talk about it. Again, this pattern is very simple to make, and if you have a pin-in scroll saw and you're not able to make very intricate cuts, this is a great pattern for you to get started out with. There's only 6 interior cuts on each piece of the base, and of course the top is a solid piece. So your pin-in scroll saws are going to do well on this project, so it's something for you to look at. Also, if you're a beginner, don't be afraid to tackle a project like this because it's really a simple project. You can put this together in just an hour. So I'm going to take you through today on how to do this, and you'll see that it's really quite easy. And you can find the pattern for this if you want to follow along at www.scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com. Okay, let's get started. Okay, here are the supplies we're going to need for this project tonight. In this case, I've chosen a piece of mahogany which I've milled down to 1/2 inch thick, and that's important for this project, that the material be the correct thickness because the pattern is designed for 1/2 inch material. So you're going to need some type of wood of your choice. This piece of walnut is 6.5 inches wide by 20 inches long. You'll also need the pattern that you can download from the website. And of course, as we always do, we're going to use our clear masking tape to cover the pattern, and in this case you'll need a little glue. Okay, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and apply the pattern to the wood. I will take this piece over and cut it down into 3 sections and apply the patterns to it separately rather than trying to cut this whole piece on the scroll saw. So I'm going to do that. Once I get that all done, we'll be right back. I've applied the patterns to the individual pieces of walnut that I've cut apart here, and I want to show you something that I usually do. Not critical, but it just makes things a little easier when you get to the saw. As you can see, when I applied this pattern, and I'm going to zoom in here just as close as I can and try to give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. When I applied this pattern to this piece of wood, I took what will be the bottom of this candle holder and I applied it right to the edge of the wood. Now, you could, put it in the middle and just use the scroll saw and cut out the bottom also. But it's a little easier when you know you've got a straight edge that come right off of the table saw, that it's going to be nice and flat for you. Now, a lot of times once I join these 2 pieces together, I'll still have to take this over to the power sander and sand the bottom of it flat just to get it to set down real smooth like we like. But that's something to watch for. The other thing is on this pattern, because it's an upright candle holder, I did apply the pattern to the wood with the grain in this direction. So it would look a little unusual with the grain running across right here. So I did apply it that way. Now what I'm going to do, I've got the patterns applied to the pieces of wood, is I'm going to do what I almost always do, is I'm going to cover these patterns completely with our clear box tape. And again, for those of you that haven't been with me very long here on the Scroll Saw Workshop, I use the clear box tape for one reason basically, and that is it makes the scrolling a little bit easier because the glue on the tape actually lubricates the blade while you're cutting, and it makes for a much smoother cut, and it also makes your blade last a little longer. So what you'll always see me do as you follow me here on the Scroll Saw Workshop is I will take these patterns and I'll take my clear box tape and I'll just cover the entire pattern before I take it over to the saw. And I usually just do the top, especially on a 1/2 inch piece of wood, but I'll take and do that all the way across the pattern like that, and then we'll take it over and drill our entry holes. Okay, I'll be back with you over at the drill press here in just a couple minutes. I've got all the pieces completely covered in my masking tape, or my box tape, and what I'm going to do now is go ahead and drill the entry holes. There's only 4 entry holes on each of the side pieces, so this will be a pretty quick job, and of course we won't need any entry holes on the top. So I'll go ahead and drill the entry holes now. Actually there's 6. drill press down here and zoom in on something just to give you a little bit of a tip here on drilling your entry holes. One of the things you can do when you're drilling your entry holes is you can start the entry holes fairly close to a corner where two lines come together. And the reason you want to do that is if I was to start my scrolling on a straight line out here, wherever I entered that line, once I scrolled around the pattern and came back to it, it's very hard to make that a smooth transition. So if you start, as you start to scroll, if you always start in a corner, you don't have to worry about that transition nearly as much. So, I mean, you could always go back and sand the transition down later, but why do the extra sanding if you don't have to? So you always notice when I do my entry holes, I always start them very close to a corner so I can begin my scrolling there. Over here at the drill press now, and I've gone ahead and inserted a brand new blade. In this case I'm going to use a Flying Dutchman scroll reverse number 5. This is a fairly standard blade for me to use. Anything ½ inch or thinner, I'll usually go for this number 5, unless it's a really intricate cut, then I might move to a smaller blade. Occasionally I'll go to a number 7 if I'm cutting in 3/4 inch or thicker, especially if I'm doing like the 3D type cutting. But in this case I'm going to use this number 5, and I'll show you that what I mean about the entry hole. In this case I've drilled the entry hole very close to this corner right here. So when I begin this cut, I'm actually going to move the cut into the corner and then come out of the corner the very first thing. So we'll begin and end the cut right here in this corner, and it'll make for a much smoother transition. Okay, let's start cutting here. Something that's happening to me here a little bit. I didn't do a very good job of gluing this pattern down with the spray adhesive, so the pattern's trying to lift on me a little bit while I'm cutting. Having the tape on here really helps alleviate that a little bit, but it's still going to lift on you if you don't do a good job gluing it down. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually holding this pattern down as I cut. That's why my finger's right here in the middle. And you'll run into that problem sometime. Just try to do a better job of than I did of getting plenty of glue on it so it stays stuck. And we'll just continue to cut out this half of the pattern. I'm going to stop the video here until I get up here to the top, and then I want to come back and show you how I handle this cutout right here.